United States has a trust responsibility with these tribes, like mine, and guarantee it as protection. But as you know, that was never true.
Never.
Rio Tinto and Resolution plan to use a technique called block caving, which is a very destructive form of mining. In block caving, by necessity, everything on the land surface that's above the block cave zone collapses into a crater by design.
In December, at 11 p.m. one night, United States Congress decided to make public a bill called the Southeastern Arizona Land Exchange Act. That bill is going to transfer the ownership of an area that's sacred to Apaches and other tribes to a mining company, Resolution Copper.
Leave the Apaches alone. Let us remain to practice our culture, say our prayers, pick our acorn at Oak Flat. That's all we ask, America. And Congressmen, senators, and President Obama, if you hear this message, you have the authority to use the Antiquities Act and prohibit mining on Oak Flat. Thank you.
The U.S. does not accept the jurisdiction of any international human rights body. That comes from this racist doctrine of discovery, which says that when England discovered North America, it held superior title over lands occupied by Indians. And so when the U.S. acquires that land from England after the Revolution, the U.S. now has that superior title. And one of the things that happens with that superior title under the doctrine of discovery is that Congress has plenary power. So therefore, Congress can do whatever it wants with Oak Flats, right? So that's the sort of modern discourse that you get. And it all sounds great, and it can all go through the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will say, well, the Constitution gives Congress this plenary power, the tribes are given notice and due process, too bad they lose. That's not the way human rights talks about it. That's not the way that the UN Declaration talks about it. Their opinions, their investigations, their reports do have influence because it undermines U.S. credibility, for example, to put pressure on Latin American governments to recognize the rights of communities affected by large-scale projects. When those Latin American governments say, well, what are you doing with Rio Tinto?
Here, even farther than that, it's contamination all around the area. And that's what people don't understand, is that mining is just a huge ball of destruction.
Oak Flat, and Apache, it's called Chiricahua Apache Leap. Okay, so Apache Leap is a place, the historical part of it is that when my people were running away from the cavalry, the US cavalry, because we were being forced to be on the San Carlos Reservation, which is also known as the 40 Acres of Hell. And our people, my people, didn't want to be captured, didn't want to be forced on a prison, didn't want to be forced to assimilation. They wanted to be who they were as Ine, as the people. And so, it was either being captured or killed. And they didn't want to die from the bullet, from the man-made bullet that was made, to purposely kill our people. And so what they would do is, they would jump off a cliff, which is now known as Apache Leap. And so, that place is really sacred to me, really powerful to me, because my people would rather die, would rather jump off that cliff and be punctured by Mother Earth than to be killed by a bullet, than to be forced on a reservation, than to be forced to assimilation. So that place is a sad place too, because my people had to do that. They had to make that decision. But besides that, Oak Flat, Chichil, Pishtagotil, it's a place of blessing. It's a place of sacredness, a place of life. You can be born there and be growing, and you can grow up to an old person, to an elder, and you can die because of the water that it has there, the food that it has there, the medicinal plants that it has there. Going to Oak Flat, because I go to school, and as much time as I can, I go there. And I love staying there because I know that every morning I can wake up to the sun and I can feel the wind, all the life that it has. Everything has life. Everything that has life is sacred. So that shows already, just at the life that it has, how sacred it is. My people would go there all the time. It was a place, where we would trade too with other different tribes, with the Aten people, because the Aten people are desert people, while Apache were mountain people. And, that was that line where we would trade and give to one another. And so for me, all the historicalness, all the petroglyphs that are there, all of the, hieroglyphics that are there shows, it teaches me because, we don't have, books where it's oral tradition, where we talk to one another about our traditions and who we are to do these ceremonies and how we are as Apache people. It's all passed down by oral speaking, and it has, all I can explain. It's a place where you have to go, a place where you have to feel the spirit. And then you'll want to know if you, can keep talking about it and don't go, then how are you going to feel it? How are you going to feel that? Like you have to connect, like putting your feet on Mother Earth. You feel that direct connection, but you're not because you're wearing shoes. And so, Oak Flat as a young girl is a place of prayer where I could pray, a place where I could be who I am as a young girl and to grow up and to become a woman, because we have our coming of age ceremony there, something my sister had the honor to do there at these sacred places. And, to know that it's going to be, that someone wants to destroy it is wrong, because we have a right as human beings to be able to believe in who we are and in anything that we can possibly think of. We have the right to believe in anything. But for it to be wanting to be stripped away is something so sad and something I can't even explain.
Human beings, our fight is your fight, and to them, what they don't realize is that everybody that they stand for, as far as their constituents, their people in their districts, it affects them now also, because now it opened the door to all federal land. This one bill opened the door to all federal land for development and corporations to come in.
Please know your history. Because when McCain put this in the defense bill, it brought back social illness to the reservation. Because we were marched there by military force and confined in the reservation, denied the opportunity to go back to what God has given us. And so when we occupied Oak Flats, really that's going home, where we originated from. But going back and now
all of a sudden we have military flyovers, drones that come in and take pictures of us. So it makes us wonder. It tries to scare us, but we will not fear no more.
In the sun, in the heat of the summer day, actually vaporizes the mercury in those tailings. It gets into the air and it is turned into methyl mercury, the most dangerous kind, and the concentrations actually blow off the tailings into the neighboring area.
Giant blowing pile of dust that has the residents of Queen Valley concerned. Rio Tinto plans to dump the 1.6 billion tons of waste from their project only 3 miles upwind and upstream from their community. So while the Apache fight for their sacred land on the east side of Superior, here on the west side, this community has come together to fight for their homes.
Queen Creek runs right through Queen Valley. Used to always run water.
That's what I heard. It was always filled, and now not. It's not.
Right, because Resolution Copper is pumping 1 million gallons a day down to Florence, right past Queen Valley.
And so the ecosystem along that river is going to be destroyed as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's not even counting the dust issues that we're going to have and the air pollution because of that tailing pile.
It is a desert.
And when I asked Resolution about it, they talk about, well, we're going to keep the pile dampened down. Well, that sounds good to a lot of people in the audience, but all you got to do is figure it out. And if you put 1 cup on 1 square foot 1 time a day, it'll take 20 million gallons a day to do that. And they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so here's an area that's part of Tonto National Forest that belongs to all of us, that they're going to put a tailing pile, and when they leave, it's going to be the responsibility of Tonto National Forest.
One of the biggest myths perpetrated is the idea that somehow this new mine is going to be good for the economy of Arizona. If you look around you, if you look behind me, you can see what benefits long-term 100 years of mining have brought to the town of Hayden.
Such a great opportunity for us to stand up for our land. You know, the land has been taken from us, and it has, the way I look at all of our land, every piece of property belongs to the great Creator. And with the mining company that's coming in, they want to come and destroy our land.
Oak Flat is who I am. As I lived in Mesa, Arizona, in the city my whole life, and every time we went to the reservation, you have to go through Oak Flat. We would stop there and pray. My mom and my grandmother taught me how to pray. You know, this is a place for me as a young girl, being raised at these places, being who I am, to be free from the city, because, you know, being oppressed in the city, discriminated of who you are, you get that a lot and you get ashamed of who you are. But going to these places is what made me strong. Going to Oak Flat reminded me of how powerful my people are and how close we are with the connection to Mother Earth. today, all of our voices are going to be heard. Today, we're not going to let this try to destroy us. We're not going to let this materialistic man-made city try to destroy who we are, because they're getting blind by that greed, by that money, and we're standing up to that. We're saying that we all have a right to believe in what we need to believe in. We all have a right to stand up for these sacred sites, because if this gets taken away, if Oak Flat gets destroyed, and it can't come back. It can't come back. As an Apache girl, that's who I am. That's where I come from. That's the land, because we are all children of our Mother Earth right here. And so we're gonna stand up. This is what Apache Stronghold and what we are doing today. Standing up, taking that step to a better future, so that my future children have a right to be who they are and have no fear to come to these holy lands and have no fear to be who they are. That's what I'm fighting for.
You know, resolution tells you that the tailings consist mostly of sand, which is true. It's mostly sand, but there are some very nasty metals in it. This will go into the aquifer and will be distributed through the rest of Arizona, actually. Long-term exposure to heavy metals, which accumulate in the body and do not leave you, are going to eventually cause trouble. Trouble like cancer. It's like taking a glass of water and putting a little cyanide pill in the water. It's mostly water.
I knew that San Manuel had used it, and the method was one to extract a large amount from underground, take out the commodity metals, and you would not replace that waste. You would create a void, and you would want Mother Nature to cave in that area so you could continuously pull out that ore that was falling in.
The proposed mine that Resolution has outlined for us is going to have quite a few effects on the archaeological resources of the area. Because of the way that they plan to mine it, that will effectively destroy every archaeological site out there.
1% is the profit. The rest of this has to be placed somewhere. We used to put this back underground. That's what's called cut and fill. Where do you put the rest of this paper? If you're not putting it back underground, you've got to put it on the surface. $1.6 billion tons of toxic mine waste will be produced. That's Hoover Dam by comparison. By their own admission and their own numbers, they are claiming that they're going to be the largest producing mining company for copper in North America. Well, you know, you've got to look at both sides of the issue here. If they're going to create that much revenue and tonnage and production of copper and other commodity metals, possibly, they're going to have to produce a lot more waste.
And then at the end of mine life, when they're out of money, they're not producing any revenue anymore, if there are lawsuits, the subsidiary simply files bankruptcy and there's no recourse to the parent company.
Over the last few years, with funding from the Resolution Mine, there's been an ongoing ethno-historic study of the Oak Flat area. In fact, a very large area extending well beyond Oak Flat itself to cover all the potential area that could be affected by the Resolution Mine project. But already, Resolution has been trying to discredit the results of it and saying that Oak Flat is not significant to the Apaches, that it really doesn't have any importance, that it isn't sacred. And yet this flies in the face of every federal law that provides protection for these kinds of things, because we have definitely identified people who have demonstrated that significance through the interviews. So regardless of what they say about the project that they've been funding, it has very specifically shown how important Oak Flat is to the Apaches and to every other tribe in central Arizona, who not only have their own connections to the place, but who support the Apache in their connection to the place.
Gathering. To me, it's very important. Tribal leadership with statements they need to make, activism, spiritual leaders, even the people who don't agree, they need to learn. And we can't carry hate because they're only the messenger. Because the corporations, those who move to destroy the earth, those are the ones that we need to appeal to. Those are the ones that we have to work to have them know when enough is enough, and to really educate our Congress people, to really take it in a different direction, and really challenge the freedom of religion, and look at those spiritual ways of how we can change. Because we know there's those of us that are okay the way it is today. There's nothing wrong with that. But we have to worry about our children. It all comes back to the children and those yet to be born. So that is our responsibility.